1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the dope.
Snoop Dogg's name carries weight. He barely needs an introduction. Since the early 90s, he's been everywhere. Rap, TV, movies, ads, and even cooking it up with Martha Stewart. For decades, he's been seen as untouchable, respected in the streets, and celebrated by the mainstream. But now, his legacy is under one of the loudest attacks yet. Comedian and radio host DL Hughley, known for sharp commentary, just came swinging hard, and he's not joking. He's putting it out there plain. Snoop's being accused of being a FED rat. In this culture, being called a rat is one of the ugliest labels you can ever get. And when DL Hughley takes aim, he doesn't whisper in the corner, he blasts it so the whole world hears. What makes it sting even more is that Snoop isn't just another rapper hustling for clout. He's a cultural icon. Someone who's supposed to stand for loyalty, authenticity, and sticking to the code. So when DL calls him out, people stop scrolling. They tune in, because if Snoop can be hit with that kind of accusation, what does it say about his entire legacy? To understand why the noise got this loud, we gotta rewind and trace how this all started. Things really caught fire when Snoop agreed to perform at Donald Trump's crypto ball during inauguration weekend. Politics aside, Trump is one of the most polarizing figures alive. And the twist? Snoop had spent years clowning Trump, mocking him in interviews, ripping him apart on stage, even putting him in skits as the punchline. So when fans saw Snoop on stage at a Trump-linked event, they felt straight up blindsided.
It amazes me that to convince black people that Donald Trump cares about them, he takes pictures with celebrities. It's amazing to me. If Donald Trump cared about black people, he wouldn't have denigrated the president with those claims.
To many, it looked like a flip-flop, like he sold out for a fat check. The internet went into overdrive. Twitter was dragging him nonstop. TikTok flooded with memes, and Instagram was full of captions like, "Not Snoop," performing for the same man he used to clown. In the middle of all that chaos, Snoop tried to clap back. He didn't back down. Instead, he claimed the hate wasn't really about Trump at all. According to him, the real problem was the black community always tearing each other down instead of celebrating someone chasing the bag. He framed it like his own people were attacking him instead of saluting his moves. That's when DL Hughley jumped in, and he wasn't having it. He blasted Snoop's explanation, saying he was dodging accountability. DL snapped back. "Don't flip this on the black community. Don't blame us for holding you accountable. You knew what you were doing when you took that stage." Then Snoop showed up, performed, and acted like it was nothing. And DL Hughley wasn't letting that slide. He clapped back, saying that wasn't hate, that was straight up hypocrisy. And then came the bomb that shook the whole culture. DL accused Snoop of moving like a fed rat. In street terms, that's the dirtiest label you can throw. It screams betrayal. It screams cooperation with the very system you claim to resist. It's basically saying you turned on your people just to get ahead.
Part of that is starting off with Snoop Dogg and Nelly and Soulja Boy and others for their decisions to perform at events surrounding the inauguration.
For DL to throw that word at Snoop wasn't just calling him out, it was branding him as dangerous, someone cozying up to power at the expense of his own community. Heavy, right? Because Snoop built his whole name off repping Long Beach, rapping about struggles with police, and surviving in a system stacked against him. He embodied rebellion, authenticity, and the voice of the hood. He stood next to Dre, Pac, and Suge, becoming one of the most iconic faces of West Coast rap. And through all the chaos of his career, fans always believed one thing, that Snoop was staying true to himself. So if DL Hughley is right, if Snoop really lined himself up with the same powers he once fought against, then his whole legacy gets thrown in question. Fans are left asking, did Snoop switch up? Did he sell out? Did fame and comfort as a celebrity make him forget the streets he came from? Those questions sting because they cut right into the image Snoop has carried for decades, and DL made sure to twist that knife even deeper. He called out that Snoop can't play both sides. He can't claim he's for the people while also rocking the stage for the same man he once said was bad for the people. DL painted it as Snoop trying to rewrite the story, gaslighting his own community into thinking the backlash was just hate. when in reality, it was about holding him accountable.
Now, for me to you, Donald, I wish I had half of your money. But for that, you need a 20-year-old and a divorce lawyer. Now, I may not have half his paper, but I got twice the dick, and you can believe that. Donald say he wants to run for president and move on into the White House. Why not? It wouldn't be the first time you pushed a black family out of their home.
That's exactly why DL dropped that heavy line. In his eyes, Snoop was moving like a rat. Sneaky, self-serving, and trying to duck the truth. And the internet wasted no time running with it. Memes popped up calling him Snoop the Fed. Threads went viral comparing his old anti-Trump interviews to new clips of him smiling on stage at the crypto ball. And TikToks used DL's quotes over footage of Snoop in commercials, mocking him as corporate Snoop who had finally arrived. The reaction split fans right down the middle. Some defended Snoop, saying he's a businessman now. He's evolved, and he has the right to move however he wants. Others backed DL, saying, nah, this was crossing the line. You can't spend years preaching one thing, then flip the script when the money shows up.
Forum for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo is gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the one of you Uncle Tom is for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it?
What makes it even deeper is the symbolism. Snoop's always been more than a rapper. He's been hip-hop's ambassador to the mainstream. The one networks call when they need a face the world instantly recognizes. He's on cooking shows, hosting award shows, even commentating on sports. Snoop's been one of the most universally loved rappers alive. And that's exactly why this hit so hard. So if Snoop's credibility gets put on trial, it's bigger than just him. It hits the whole culture. Because for decades, Snoop has been one of the main faces of hip-hop. If his image is seen as compromised, it weakens the story hip-hop has been telling for years about loyalty, authenticity, and resistance. And DL knows that, which is why he went so hard. He wasn't only calling out Snoop, he was sending a warning shot to every artist and every celebrity. If you cross your own people just to cozy up to power, don't expect silence. We're gonna call you out. Now some argue DL might be too harsh. They say Snoop's a grown man, been in the game over 30 years, and if he wants to perform at an event, that's his business. And technically, yeah, that's true. But culture isn't just about what's legal, it's about what it represents. And to fans, Snoop's choice sent a loud message. I'll stand next to whoever, if the check is big enough.
Of course, Snoop has responded to the backlash he received for performing for a Trump event. One of the things he pointed out was that we always stick together. We're good at tearing each other apart, which is pretty constant. It's pretty consistent when somebody gets into trouble. It takes backlash from the community. It's always a communal thing. It isn't any action they took. It is the fact that we can't stay together, that we can't stick together, that it's us always attacking us. But that flies in the face of the reality of what's happening right now. It is not us who are tearing down affirmative action.
That's exactly why the backlash burns so hot. Snoop's defenders argue he's just evolving, just stacking bags like any smart businessman would. They point out he's dipped into everything. Kids' cartoons, video games, Corona beer commercials, proof that Snoop has gone way past politics and built a brand that transcends all that. But DL's point cuts deeper. You can't transcend accountability. If you build your whole brand on being against something, you can't turn around and cash in on it without owning up. And that's where the FedRat label really stings. DL wasn't literally saying Snoop's out here working with the feds. He was saying Snoop is moving like somebody who switched sides. Somebody who once stood with the people, but now looks too comfortable standing next to the very powers that oppress them.
It's not us who is tearing down DEI. It is not us who are tearing families apart. It is not us who have decided that affirmative action and rollbacks that have been that had precedent for 50, 60 years are gone. It is not us that is doing it. It is, I think most people are disappointed because they saw you a specific way and you have a right to kind of interpret and do whatever artistically you want to. No one's begrudging you that. But why the attack on the community because they disagree with something?
In street terms, that's rat behavior. Straight up betrayal. And the scary part for Snoop is that once a label like that sticks, it's almost impossible to shake. The second people start seeing you as fake, as compromised, it follows you everywhere. Fans start side-eyeing your every move. old interviews get replayed with irony, and every new business venture gets questioned like, is this the real Snoop or the corporate version? That's how legacies get rewritten right in front of everyone's eyes. And DL Hughley knows exactly how to control that narrative. He's not just some random troll online. He's a respected voice, a comedian with a powerful platform, and a man with decades inside the culture. When he talks, people stop and listen. That means Snoop can't just brush this off. He either doubles down and says he doesn't care, or he tries to patch things up with his people. But here's the kicker. The conversation has already shifted.
First meet Snoop.
First time I met Snoop, he was doing a release party for Doggy Style on a boat. I quickly said, what's up to Snoop? Got off that yacht because I knew it was going to be lit. Before it left the dock, I'm like, man, I'm not getting in the water with Death Row.
In just a matter of weeks, Snoop went from being dragged for performing at a Trump event to being accused of blaming the black community for his backlash, to now being stamped with DL's Fed Rat label. That's 3 heavy hits back to back, and the smoke hasn't cleared yet. That's how fast the internet flips the script. Reputations can get questioned in a heartbeat. And the fans, they're eating it up. Every clip, every quote, every meme gets recycled and thrown back into the spotlight. People love watching giants stumble. It makes them feel powerful, like nobody is too untouchable to get called out. But for Snoop, this ain't just about fans laughing at memes. This is about his legacy. It's about the story that gets stamped on his name forever.
Man, you sharp as you skinny. What's going down? That's that crypto, see? They let a real crip up in the crypto ball. Bang, bang.
When all is said and done, will he be remembered as the legend who stayed true? Or the legend who sold out? The dogfather of loyalty? Or the icon who moved like a rat when the stakes got high? Those are the heavy questions swirling around him right now. And here's the wild part. DL Hughley isn't letting up. He's doubling down, repeating his points in interviews, making sure that Fed Rat label sticks. Meanwhile, Snoop hasn't dropped a real clap back. Maybe he's ignoring it. Maybe he's planning his move. But silence in the court of public opinion? Sometimes that sounds a lot like guilt. And the loudest voice is the one people believe. So where does this go from here? Does Snoop finally face it head on, defend his choices, maybe even admit he slipped up? Or does he keep moving like nothing happened, hoping the internet's short memory saves him? And what about DL? Does he keep pressing, dragging this story out even longer, or shift his fire to the next target? One thing's for sure, the damage is already done.
I knew that Pac did everything right by him by putting him on All Eyes on Me, speaking about him and being real with him. And if it's true what they say,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Face-to-face is going to be a lot of explaining to do. Only way you have a radio if you was at the fight with us and you had a security detail. Now, I'm not having a security detail.
The seed's been planted, and people are looking at Snoop differently now. Even if the storm calms down, that memory won't fade. Because once you get hit with the rat label, it never fully washes off. It lingers in the background, shaping how people see you forever. And that's the real tragedy here. Snoop Dogg, the man who built a career off loyalty and staying true, now facing questions about whether he broke the very code he stood on. From repping the streets to now being questioned by his own community, not over a diss track, not over rap beef, but over choices that looked like betrayal. Moves that made him seem closer to power than to the people who lifted him up. And now the spotlight shifts to you, the fans. What do you think? Did Snoop really cross the line by stepping on that stage? Was DL Hughley right to call him out as moving like a Fed rat? Or is this just another case of the internet blowing smoke and twisting the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Because this story, it's far from over. And trust me, we'll be here to break it all down.